Have you ever wondered why some of your mixes sound thin or lack punch? It might be because of phase. Today I wanted to dive into the concept of phase in music production. I want to cover what it is, how it can impact your sound, ways to detect phase, and some different techniques to fix it. So what exactly is phase? Phase in a nutshell is just the relationship between two different waveforms and how they're aligned over time. So let's jump into Reaper. I'll show you some examples. So here I have a very simple sine wave. This top line here is a representation of the result of these two sine waves. Now these are the exact same sound, so that's all it is. But if I take this and just move it over roughly there, you'll see it's basically canceling it out. And as I bring it back in phase, you can hear it again. So that's a very simple, kind of not real world example. So for a real world example, I have a snare. When you mic a snare, there's a top mic and a bottom mic. And that is when you commonly have phase issues. The top mic and the bottom mic are pointing different directions. So they're going to not necessarily cancel each other out because it's a different sound, but you really could lose some like low end punch. So if I zoom in on these, the same concept as that sine wave. If you look up here, they're, like I said, they're not going to cancel each other out because it's not the same sound as the sine wave, but they're not working with each other. And if you're not checking that, especially if you have multiple ones, it can make it sound weak, thin, not good things. Another common cause is layering in samples. So if I bring in a sample here, I just pulled in trigger and rendered this down. Same thing. These are very out of phase, kind of like the bottom mic I had here. You can hear there's very little low end. It's the phase flip button for Reaper. Not every DAW has that. I normally use Pro Q3 from FabFilter. You hear how much of that low end comes back? Now, if you want to visually see that, same thing, just flipping the phase here. I'm going to render this down. Now it's rendered. You can see they're cooperating a lot more now. So how do you detect, or how do you know when there are phase issues? My go-to is my ears. If I'm hearing a lack of like low end or punch or something, the first thing I go and check most of the time is phase issues. I'll go in, look at my wave files. If I have any samples, render them down. So I always render my samples down and just look at them. Or if they're not lining up, you probably have a phase issue. Invert it and then see if that fixes your issue. If not, you got to go figure out something else. Now, there are phase detection programs. I haven't really used many, and the ones I have used, I don't remember what they are, but I didn't like them. I just feel like my ears and eyes, because you can kind of see it, are the best you can do, in my opinion. So now we have these three tracks. We have the top mic, bottom mic, and a sample. How are we going to get those to work together? So we know that the top mic and the sample, that's fixed already. We did that. So we need this bottom mic to work properly. So looking at this, I mean, now this looks like a mess because we're introducing more sounds, but you could see here between these two that they are working opposite of each other. Pull up Pro Q, flip to phase, and we can render this down. And now these are all working together. What I'm looking at here are these peaks and valleys. When they all go up, they all go up. And when they all go down, they go down. Now it's going to get a little squirrely towards the end here, but you want to try and get these first couple peaks and valleys as matched up as you can. So now you have this whole sound here. If I flip these, there's just a lack of punch, a lack of low end. Now they're all working together. And you could do this with any instruments, snares, guitars, kicks, toms, anything. If you feel like you're having trouble before you go in and start tweaking your EQs, make sure you're in phase, because that can literally ruin the whole thing. Even different guitar mics, they could be out of phase and causing a lot of issues for you. Another trick you could do is, if you have stereo tracks, try throwing everything in mono. If you're having stereo issues, bringing it to that center, having them overlapping each other can make it way more apparent and easier to hear. So that's phase in a nutshell. So if your mixes are lacking that nice low end punch, go in and check your phase. That could be the biggest problem. I've definitely done it before. Mixed the whole song and then realized that it just sounds terrible, and it's because of one little phase switch. So if you made it this far, found this video helpful, please like, subscribe, helps out the channel. I want to say that if you're a viewer of the channel, I'm sorry for being absent for so long. I built the studio that you're seeing behind me, and that took a little bit of time. So I'll be back making videos. You can also follow me on Instagram or TikTok at Austin Day Audio for more tips and behind the scenes fucking content. Yeah. I also think I'm going to start streaming mixes / writing. I don't know. If you want to see stuff like that, let me know. Comments below. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye.